Hello everyone, welcome to URBONUS podcast. I'm the host Donatas URBONUS and I'm joined by Rytis Vyšniauskas. Rytis, welcome to the show. I'm happy that you managed to reach this table coming out of Easter table, which I've heard, according to sources, it was a bit problematic, let's say.
Per sources, it was a little bit difficult. It was a struggle to get up this morning, partially because of the Easter table, because of the festive table, because of overeating, partially because of the NBA playoffs and staying up late and watching all the action. But it's an exciting time to be a basketball fan. We have the NBA playoffs, we have the EuroLeague playoffs starting tomorrow. Lots of action, a lot of excitement, and looking forward to everything.
Yeah, I'm so excited before this podcast because we will share our playoff predictions. Let's say we have a lot of interesting matchups, a lot of unpredictable outcomes which we might witness in the upcoming month and upcoming weeks. But before that, of course, the most important question, how many eggs did you eat?
Oh my God. I'm not a big fan of hard-boiled eggs in general, but I ate like 5 or 6
at once, or no, or just in an entire weekend?
At once.
At
once, during the Easter breakfast.
Yeah. Okay.
Like 5 or 6 hard-boiled eggs. On top of that, salad. My mother prepared a really nice cake, so it was a dessert. I'm not used to eating a lot in the morning, for breakfast. Usually,
it's a disaster.
Usually
for stomach,
at home
actually.
For breakfast, I just have a cup of coffee and a Snickers bar, something like that. But now 6 hard-boiled eggs and all that stuff. And when I was full, I went to work. I had Premier League games, I had NBA playoffs, and today I woke up and really my stomach just was sending a message to me like, dude, why did you do that yesterday?
Is it only us Lithuanians having this, let's say, tradition to eat everything from the morning?
I'm not so sure because, on Christmas Eve, you sit down by the table like at 6 6 p.m. in the evening. It's like a supper time. But Easter, it's always breakfast, Eggs are like breakfast food for most people.
Yeah.
Various dishes with eggs like egg benedicts or whatever, scrambled eggs. But hard-boiled eggs, well, they don't really belong in my stomach. But yesterday, a mistake was made. And
you will deal with the consequences right now this week.
I have some regrets, but let's see how the podcast goes. If there will be some cutscenes, you will definitely know that it's because of what I did yesterday.
Yeah, enough of eggs. Let's start with our predictions. Before that, just a quick reminder that our playoff friends is NordVPN and NordVPN services. We have this NBA playoffs event. We have EuroLeague playoffs. It's a big celebration for basketball fans. And I just recommend just stop watching all these illegal streams on the internet because first and foremost, it's a low quality. It's slow. It usually puts your computer in at risk.
Some Trojan horses might enter your computer.
Exactly. There's a better, smarter, and much safer way using NordVPN services because, you will have to buy either it's NBA package, NBA TV, EuroLeague TV subscription. But what's so good about NordVPN that actually after the last podcast, when we presented NordVPN services, my friend bought NBA TV package just for the playoffs and he used the VPN from India and he got a better price. So it's a completely legal way to find a better price to buy all these services legally, and it's one of the good features that NordVPN has. So it's fastest, safest VPN services, and it's presented by one of the fastest growing Lithuanian companies. So NordVPN, by the way, we also invite you to visit BasketNews.com for EuroLeague Bracket Challenge. which is also powered by NordVPN. You can make your playoff predictions, and you can also win prizes. And if you have any doubts over some playoff matchups, I suggest watching few short fun videos on our YouTube channel, because we had 5 current former EuroLeague stars like Mike Batiste, Geoffrey Laverne, Jason Granger, Eric McCollum, Jonas Machulis. They shared their bracket for not only for the playoffs but also for the Final Four. So it was a nice thing, because mostly all of them had their own, let's say, interesting takes, which we will provide during our conversation. And let's start with the first pair.
Yeah,
probably the clearest pair, let's say, Barcelona, Bayern Munich. Barca won both games in the regular season. The last one on February 1st, Barca won by 5. Their first seeded team playing against 8th seeded team. And what would be your take on this?
Well, you don't have the feeling that you had last year when Barca was the first seed and they faced Xavi Pascual from the 8th seed, and it was a hell of a series. 5-game series. Barca was walking on thin ice, I would say. This year, I don't think such a scenario is possible, mainly because of the problems that Bayern Munich have. I mean, all these COVID hits, injuries, lack of practices. They had a very difficult schedule. They have had a game congestion. When all those suspended games they had to play, not double game weeks but triple game weeks, something like that. So I don't see that Bayern Munich is in a very good moment right now. I don't think they are in a particularly good moment to face such a challenge like Barcelona. The biggest matchup in this series is definitely Trinchieri versus Charas, but I have Barca in 3. I think it's going to be a sweep. No disrespect to Bayern Munich, they are a very good team. They have some solid veterans. They have a great coach. They have a lot of talent, with Vladimir Lucic leading the way, with strong American players like Deshaun Thomas, Darren Hilliard. If everyone was healthy, if everyone was in a good shape, I could see a really interesting series. I could see some potential.
Zenit, Barcelona, Xavi making job very difficult for Barca.
But under the circumstances right now, Barca in 3, I don't think it's going to be a very good series.
I have Barca in 4, mainly because Barca was struggling recently. They were on a pretty bad stretch. Not only because they lost to Maccabi by 24, I didn't take that game very seriously, because Barca, they already had the first seed locked, so they had their own tasks for that game, for example, let's say. But they lost 2 games in a row in the ACB recently against Unicaja and Zaragoza, and they kind of almost lost that game against Real Madrid at home. We remember all these let's say unfair calls for Real Madrid guys. So even Šarūnas Jasikevičius said that he was concerned about the lack of discipline his players provided recently, and the lack of discipline might be a problem. Let's say I cannot call it a problem, because either or another way I see Barca winning this series pretty easily, but I just see some potential for Bayern to win let's say maximum 1 game, because okay, they had a lot of problems, but at least for now they're getting back. They're adjusting to each other finally. They still don't have all the players available. Unfortunately, Corey Walden is very questionable for the first part of the series. He just joined the Bayern Munich practices recently, but it's not clear if he will play in Barcelona. But what I see that they can give some physical battle, just like we saw on February 1st, where they played without Darren Hilliard. They were so physical that they forced Barca to make 12 turnovers. And if they want to win that 1 game, they have to play, on the thin line of foul. And that's what they're capable of. The problem is that Bayern is the team which loves to switch. And Barca, they're super good against switch defense. They're first in post-up offense, and they lead the EuroLeague by far, like having 11 or 12 points in the post-up compared to the second seeded team, which scores around 7 points. That's a huge difference. And Bayern usually they had problems defending the post because they tend to switch a lot. But this thing requires a lot of discipline and solid play inside. And Brandon Davis is not in his best shape so far, and this is not the season to be proud of for Brandon Davis. I think he was way better the last year, for example. And I think that there are some, let's say, places where Bayern can surprise Barcelona, but it cannot be more than just winning one game at home, for example.
Well, my logic is quite simple, actually. If Barca takes the 2-0 lead in Palau, I think they're going to Munich to close the series, and I don't see Bayern Munich doing anything like last year when they were down 0-2 against Milan, and they managed to win 2 in a row at home. I don't think that in this situation they could do a comeback, remontada against Barcelona. If Barca is up 2-0, they're closing the series. And actually, those 2 last games that they lost in the Liga Endesa, I think there are some reasons for such results. First of all, after winning the El Clasico battle, they almost clinched the first seed. Not yet, but everybody knows that they're taking the first seed. Nobody thinks about Real Madrid catching up right now. And secondly, players are already thinking about the EuroLeague playoffs. Nobody wants to get hurt before the playoffs. You want to avoid injuries. So these 2 games, I think they faced these games with such a mindset that we're in a good position in Liga Endesa. Now we're saving ourselves for the playoff series against Bayern Munich. The focus is on the EuroLeague playoffs. It doesn't really matter what Shara says. Of course, he always says that every game is important and he's disappointed about the lack of energy against these Spanish teams. But seriously, no one's thinking about those games right now. So I wouldn't draw any conclusions from these 2 losses in Barca.
No, I'm just drawing the conclusions from the last stretch they were on, and they were struggling a little bit.
I mean, they had injuries also. They were not playing with full roster.
They're still not playing. Yeah, Corey Higgins is missing, and he will be missing for the rest of the EuroLeague season. So
I can see why you're saying Bayern Munich could take 1 win in this series. I agree about physicality. I agree about their abilities on defense. There will be some tough matchups for Barca. The switch-all defense kind of works. This team is built for switch-all defense, basically. When you're playing switch-all, first of all, you need to have a tall, physical point guard, like Corey Walden, for example, who's injured. That's a problem. They basically have good players to do switch-all because their forwards are very athletic, very strong. Guys like Lucic, Deshaun Thomas. They have Augie Rubit usually playing the power forward position. Great, They have Otello Hunter, who is still, despite the fact that he's a veteran, quite mobile. And Bayern Munich is a great team. I think if they would be facing Milan like last season, I could see some potential. Because Milan is not in a very good moment right now. But Barca is just too good. From all these teams without the home court advantage, obviously Barca versus Efes would be the best possible series. But Barca-Monaco, I think, would also be a little bit better than Bayern Munich. And for Bayern, just making the playoffs 2 years in a row is already a big thing. It's a big deal. I don't think they should feel any pressure going into the series, which is a good thing, obviously. So just 2 years in a row, you're in the playoffs. This says a lot about Coach Trinchieri and his abilities. Probably Trinchieri is one of the most wanted coaches in Europe right now. But
although he's under the
contract, he's still leading Bayern Munich. Good job done. Good job finishing the regular season with all these COVID cases and problems, making the playoffs, but Barca in free. That's it. I don't have anything else to say.
All of our guests also said that, they had Barca maximum in 4 games, but most of them said that Barca will sweep Bayern Munich.
I think you could not find a person that predicts Bayern Munich winning the series unless
and even now we're just discussing about some potential to win a single game.
Unless that person is a true Bavarian, then you could hear some arguments about Bayern taking the series to 5 games or something like that. Otherwise, Doesn't matter if you're Mike Batiste, Donatas Urbonas, or Rytis
unless
Vyšniauskas. The question is in 3 or in 4.
Unless on their way to Munich somehow they will be so unlucky that half of the team will get COVID or something like that.
Let's hope none of that happens.
Yeah. Ruling out all these other, let's say, force majeures, it's just impossible to expect anything else. But Real Maccabi pair is way more exciting. And I'm really intrigued to hear your take on this.
Well, we already had some comments about Maccabi and the people daring us to show up with Maccabi jerseys if Maccabi makes the Final Four.
I have a pair of good T-shirts of Maccabi.
I have a T-shirt from 2017 EuroBasket. It's kind of washed up, but
2017 EuroBasket?
Yeah.
It's like just 5 years ago.
5 years ago, but you know that shirt I wore it a lot during summertime, and it was in the washing machine a lot of times, so it doesn't look that good, but it's a Maccabi T-shirt.
I have a shirt where Derek Sharp makes that three-pointer in 2004, and there's also kind of Giedrius Gustas picture on it, so
there should be a Tanaka bird picture, not Giedrius Gustas. So
exactly.
I feel sorry for Gustas still to this day because it was Tanaka's fault.
He's like from these movies where people think that that guy killed some important person, but the true story is that no, he was not fault. It was not his fault.
The guy who stepped in bound to grab the rebound. Anyway, enough about these traumas from the past.
18 years later, we're still talking about this.
Yeah, Real Madrid, Maccabi. You know what? Maccabi, they finished the regular season great. They took the fifth seed. I could not imagine them finishing in the 5th seed, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Making the top 8 was the question, not about the 5th seed. And they were basically, if you look at the standings, they were just one win away from home court advantage. It was not manageable, we know that, because they played their last game when everything was already done. They played the Fenerbahce on 13th of April. But okay, I'm sticking to what I said in previous podcasts, that I don't think this Maccabi team is well coached. I don't think that Avi Evan does a lot of strategy and tactics preparing his team. And in single games, maybe that's a good approach for a regular season. But in a series where you're facing the same opponent, possibly for 5 games, it could be a 5-game series, tactical adjustments, they are the difference makers. I mean, Pablo Lasso has a lot of experience. And we saw, for example, last season how he was saving the series against Anadolu Efes, where they had no chance, absolutely no chance, but all these big lineups imposed problems on Anadolu Efes, and all of a sudden it was a 5-game series. So even though Real Madrid have problems inside the locker room, they had these situations with Thomas Hurtel, Trey Tompkins, I'm still trusting their experience and Pablo Lasso as a head coach who was leading this team for 10 years. And I think they will make it to the Final Four. However, the way Maccabi is playing, the way all the American players are feeling right now, they're feeling great. Scotty Wilbekin is finally himself. Keenan Evans is enjoying having ball in his hands more often. Derek Williams is having a great season. They have good centers with Jalen Reynolds and Ante Žižić. The only problem to me is a lack of depth. I don't think the bench is good enough. And it's difficult to win a series with 7-man rotation. So the backup players, the role players will definitely need to step up. And I see Maccabi making it a 5-game series. I actually see Maccabi winning in Tel Aviv. The atmosphere is going to be crazy. But the home court advantage is the big deal in this case.
For both teams.
You're playing the 5th game at home in Madrid. So I'm predicting Madrid in 5.
Real won 12 of 14 at home. And one of these losses were against Barcelona, which is... they lost all the games against Barcelona since Charas took the team. And I think it was the last one against Bayern Munich where they just blew up 20-point lead. So it's
a strange game.
Very
you don't take
strange,
it seriously.
Yeah, and it's a very rare thing to lose in Madrid for Real Madrid. But you know what? When I started putting these predictions, I was I was thinking about, okay, this is my team for this pair, for this pair, for this pair. I was breaking down all these results and just try to find arguments, let's say, how to add this, how to explain my pick, my take. But I have to be honest, as deeper as I went with all these predictions, trying to find reasons, let's say, to justify my pick of Real Madrid, I got myself saying that, hey, I cannot lie to myself. I just don't like the general situation in Real Madrid. And I think that they're a more talented team, better coach team, more deeper team, more experienced team. In general, they are a better team. But in this situation, I'm actually taking the momentum. And Real Madrid doesn't have any momentum. And for example, I thought that this situation with Thomas Hurtel and Trey Tompkins and all what happened in Greece, I thought that somehow it will help to make the team united. Let's say, just, okay, we're getting rid of these players. There were some problems with them. Let's just be so focused to be united, to support the coach, and let's move on, because they have everything to make the Final Four. But at the same time, now we're reading Pablo Lasso saying that, so these guys, they're not out of the team. They're in.
They were in the building the last game. They were sitting there.
Yeah, and I mean, they might play again. And I mean, what the hell is going on? And it's so clear. I mean, watching all these events, let's say, it's clear that probably Pablo Lasso or somebody in the front office will lose the job, because it's clear that both coach and the front office, they're working in opposite directions. And I think that before such an important moment of the season, it will really hurt them. And on the other side, I have Maccabi team on a perfect momentum. You mentioned all these players. They're playing their best basketball of the season. They won 11 EuroLeague, 11 games of 12, and including 6 games in a row in the EuroLeague. Real Madrid, they're having very inconsistent guards, and it will be extremely important for the Maccabi series. And when I watch it at Real Madrid, I don't understand who will play, how they will play. So Ertel, is he in or out? He was actually great against Maccabi. He had the perfect third quarter in Tel Aviv. I think he scored 11 points, and he really helped to wake up the team. But then we have Nigel Williams-Goss. If he was in his best shape, I would probably in every possession I would just play through Nigel Williams-Goss, and I would be killing Scott Wilbekin. But Goss is so inconsistent. Sometimes he's not even getting playing time because he didn't deserve that. Then, okay, at least there's Fabien Causer, and now we're kind of having him as a solid backcourt player, even though the last couple of years he was just a helper, let's say, off the bench. Now we kind of try to look at him seriously, because then we have Sergio Llull, who is veteran, who is not efficient, and you cannot bet on your team when you have Yui as your main go-to guy. So, I mean, combining all these factors, I just don't trust Real Madrid. I go with Maccabi in 5, actually.
In 5?
Yeah.
But that doesn't make sense. I'm sorry.
Why?
If Maccabi wins the series, the only way that I see, splitting the first 2 games in Madrid and closing the series in Tel Aviv. If you drag to Game 5 in Madrid, what makes you believe that they would take the final game away from home? I mean, Maccabi in 4 would make more sense.
Yeah, I can switch my prediction. I just go with Maccabi. Yeah,
no. Because I'm just teasing.
Yeah, it's actually a good point, because when I was putting all these arguments, I was thinking that Maccabi has all this momentum. They're coming with a huge confidence. They have a huge belief in themselves, while Real facing all these off-the-court issues, on-the-court issues as well. And that momentum can help you to steal that home court advantage in the first 2 games, although they were almost unbeatable. I mean, Real Madrid in Madrid. So, yeah, maybe Maccabi in 4, I don't know, but for this series, I'm just taking Maccabi.
Yeah, I'm just saying that Maccabi
but it's
in
a
4
good point.
makes more sense.
Yeah.
You split the first 2 games, you go to Tel Aviv knowing that if you win 2, you're in the Final Four. Well, we remember the last game they played in Tel Aviv. It was not so long ago. And I wouldn't say it was a great game for Maccabi. It was a great comeback, the 4th quarter comeback. There were a lot of emotions there. It was an important game for both teams. But for 3 quarters, Real Madrid was in control, actually. And
they were good.
Maccabi made an impressive run in the 4th quarter. Real Madrid recently had these collapses in the fourth quarter for some reason. I think what wins this series for Real Madrid is defense, experience, and size. You've mentioned Ertel, Williams, Goss, the uncertainty about these players, about their playmakers. But to me, Tavares and Yabusele are the difference makers. They are the guys that will pack the paint and will create problems for Real Madrid. I think Madrid is the worst possible matchup for Žižić and Reynolds. Žižić and Reynolds are great centers. Žižić had an amazing regular season. He's one of the best low-post centers in Europe right now. Reynolds is an energy guy. He plays the pick and rolls. He sometimes is very unpredictable, tends to shoot some mid-range jumpers, which he shouldn't do, but sometimes he makes them. He is always very motivated. He wants to fight. He's grabbing the rebounds, but Real Madrid is the worst possible matchup for these Maccabi centers. Not only because Tavares, not only because Yabusele is also there in the paint, but the backup center is Vincent Poirier, another strong body. So to me, Real Madrid needs to have low-scoring games. You cannot have Maccabi playing their run-and-gun basketball. This is where they're better. This is where they're going to beat you. If you're letting them shoot transition threes, if you're letting Derrick Williams run through the open court, you're going to get killed. But I think that such a veteran team will find solutions to control the tempo. And a player that could actually be the difference maker for Maccabi, we didn't mention his name yet, but it's James Nunnally. Definitely.
Oh yeah, he's in a perfect shape
James
recently.
Nunnally. Everyone's focused on Scotty Wilbekin. You want to keep the ball off his hands. You want to stop his pick and rolls. You don't want to let him shoot off the screen, which he loves to do. But James Nunnally, he can do everything. He can find a mismatch and attack the paint. He can be a spot-up shooter. He can be a playmaker in certain situations. So James Nunnally, I think, is the biggest factor for Maccabi.
Last month he was averaging 18 points for a reason.
Yeah. But again, Real Madrid, if they keep the low-scoring games, if they keep Maccabi under 80s,
but it's
I think they're winning.
Because I remember, okay, these were pretty low-scoring games. What is interesting that it's probably the, let's say, closest series in the playoffs, because Real Madrid won the game against Maccabi at home in December by 2 points. It was also, if you remember, very close game. And I remember there were some also strange calls in the end of the game that decided the game. Let's say Maccabi won by 1 against Real Madrid, where they just collapsed in the fourth quarter. But I mean, these already were close games. And I remember that Real always had problems. It seemed like they were collapsing with their backcourt defense. Although they have some size, okay, they can offer Adam Hanga or Taylor to try to stop Wilbekin, Nunnally, and Keenan Evans. But if they had players like Yui, Kozer, or anybody else, they really had problems. They really had problems containing the speed, the quickness of Maccabi. So I don't know. I fully agree with you saying that it will be hell of a series for Žižić and Reynolds, but these guys, they're helpers. They're not difference makers. And Lasso made some great adjustments last year when they competed against Efes. If you remember, Usman Garuba became a game changer in the series. And then when he put Nicolas Laprovitola on the bench, he found different players, he found the momentum, so they recovered in series. But for example, this year, I'm not so sure about this bench. I don't see, let's say, some potential X factors for this team.
Well, they're definitely going to play those big lineups. And again, another name we should mention is Gabi Dek. I think he's in a great shape right now.
Yeah, he's the best player of Real Madrid at the moment. I think he's the best scorer.
And when you're searching for some mismatches on offense, Gabi Dek is going to play a lot of post-up action in this series, I think. And again, this is the moment where you will see if Avi Evan is actually coaching this team or he's just leading this team. Because if you see Gabi Dek killing you on the post, you need to make some decisions. Maybe start doubling him. Maybe start helping from the weak side or something. Force him to pass the ball. And again, I don't have any information about Avi Evan. How is he going to coach the team? What tactical adjustments can he make? How does he approach a playoff series? I don't know. Avi Evan, before taking this job, he was
Head of scouting and player development.
head of scouting and player development. So that's
like fourth guy on the bench.
Completely different world from being the head coach and making decisions.
I was wondering, do they really need a coach? Do they need a guy who just helps them or coaches them? They tried. I mean, Yannis Varopoulos tried to coach them. It didn't work out very well. Not only on the court, they had some issues. Let's see. Other than just playing off their talent, I would say. And I think that Maccabi's pretty unpredictable team. The way they're scoring, the way they're choosing their shots, taking their shots. I mean, their shot selection is very unpredictable. They like the transition offense, so it's. I mean, a lot of unpredictable things, which is really hard to prepare for.
Well, I agree to some extent, but as I said, this approach might work in a regular season. But we see it even in the NBA. Teams that have superstars on the roster, they play this way throughout the regular season. But when the playoffs arrive, they start to get serious, and you find out which team is actually being coached and which team is just playing random basketball. And even the best teams with stars on the roster in the NBA, when they face a playoff series, they need coaching decisions. They need strategy. And what Avi Evan did to resurrect the team, to raise the team spirit, to finish the regular season in the 5th spot was amazing, really. But now it's a playoff series. It requires some different qualities from a head coach, in my opinion. But we will see. Maybe I'm dead wrong. Who knows? Again, you're talking about how Maccabi is unpredictable on the court. Real Madrid is sort of unpredictable off the court. There are so many uncertainties right now. And a lot of headaches, I think, for Pablo Lasso as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, never underestimate the heart of the champion. And as I said, before the series, before our podcast, I was really thinking that I will go with Real Madrid. Just in this situation, I'm taking momentum over the experience and general package. And the reason I said that Maccabi in 5, it just shows how equal the situation. Both teams are coming from very different environments, let's say, but the general conception of the power of these teams is so equal. The situation is so equal that it will be very, very intriguing series.
So for me, Madrid in 5, and if Maccabi makes the Final Four, I'm happy to wear the Maccabi shirt I have.
Yeah, we will both do. Actually, only Geoffrey Laverne said that Maccabi will win in 5. All the other guys, they said that Real Madrid either in 5 or, like Jason Granger said, in 4.
Well, Jonas Maciulis could not afford to say anything else.
Yeah, he even took Real Madrid over Barca.
He's a real Madridista. What can he say?
Yes. Okay, let's go with another one, which is just a second. Olympiacos Milano. Olympiacos Monaco. Yeah, sorry.
Olympiacos Monaco.
We had 2 games between these teams, and the outcome was like a radical one. Olympiacos won against Monaco at home by 21. Then March 23, Monaco they beat one of the best teams in the EuroLeague also by 20 points, something like that. So
the difference between these 2 games was Mitrovic and Obradovic.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, exactly. So, do you think that Monaco has enough, or Mike James has enough to lead this team in the Final Four?
I don't really see an upset in this series. As I am supporting Monaco this season, I'm cheering for them. I wanted them to face Milan or Madrid. I could see them beating both of these teams. Olympiacos was the worst possible case because Oli, with a home court advantage, I don't know if there are still some restrictions in Greece because of COVID.
No, they already, I think that they had sold out for game 1.
So they can have a full house. Yeah. It's going to be amazing. Such an atmosphere. So I think Monaco will be very competitive. Knowing the mentality of this team and the players as individuals, all of them believe they can beat Oli away from home, at home. They don't really care. They couldn't be phased. Mike James definitely wants to lead his team to the Final Four. But Olympiacos is such a consistent team. They're so well built. They have everything. They have depth in the roster. They have a good defensive system. They have the big brains of Kostas Lukas. They have Sasha Vezenkov playing his career best season. Such a talented player, and they have good role players that can step up in certain situations, starting from Tyler Dorsey. You cannot even call him a role player, basically. He's one of their main players, but the other guys, sometimes Kostas Papanikolaou hits shots. Sometimes they're very successful feeding Mustafa Fall in the paint. They can find different ways to score, and on defense, it's a very tough team. They're a tough team to beat. I think in the playoffs, Bartzokas maybe will not be sticking to his usual regular season rotations. We might see some differences. The X factor to me in the series is actually Thomas Walkup, because I think he's going to be the guy with a mission to guard Mike James. And if he can control Mike James, if he can be physical on him, if he can limit his points and assists, it will be a huge thing for Olympiacos. In the end, I have Oli in 4, but I'm expecting to see all games being very close. I think Monaco, you cannot rule them out because of all the talent in this team. It's such a talented team, and Sasha Obradovic did a great job with them. Basically, they have some rules, and they're following those rules. They don't necessarily have a lot of sets. They're not necessarily running a lot of sets. The playbook maybe is not so important to them, but they have rules, what you need to do when you have the ball, the spacing and everything, how you need to use Donatas Motiejūnas, for example, in those post-up situations. So you could actually find some matchups that favor Monaco, let's say. But to me, Olympiacos is just too good this season. And I think they have to be in the Final Four. So 3-1 to Olympiacos in this series.
I really like Monaco, the way they were playing with Coach Obradovic. I really tried to find reasons for Monaco win this series. I didn't want to be boring with my predictions, and I was thinking, what should I take for this, let's say, bold prediction?
Maccabi prediction wasn't boring at all.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't like casinos, but I decided to go to casino with Maccabi. But I had to be honest with myself. I mean, Olympiacos is the most complete team. They showed the most complete basketball this year in EuroLeague, and also offensive and defensive ratings show it, because offensively I think that they're third best, and defensively they're fourth best. They had great roster with a lot of different players, most of them overachieving. They're playing very, very good basketball. And for Monaco, it's just too tough to find enough advantages to win 3 games against this great team of Olympiacos. I know that Monaco will be very well prepared for this game. For example, Sasha Obradovic, from what I've heard, that they were playing some, let's say, strong opponents in the French league, like top 4 opponents in the French league, but for the last couple of weeks they were fully preparing for the Olympiacos game, and they will try to surprise them, let's say. But I just don't really see a lot of chances for them, because in every situation they can offer experience. They can offer Mustafa Fall factor. They have Thomas Walkup to contain Mike James. I cannot go with, in playoffs, you need leadership, you need some experience and some solid leadership most of all. And okay, Mike James is the guy you can rely on, but for example, Dwayne Bacon, what kind of Dwayne Bacon face picture we will see in the playoffs, if he will be trying to be that hero of the series, to making all these, taking all these shots, let's say, who knows? So, I mean, I love Monaco against every other opponent except from Barcelona and Olympiacos. But now it's Olympiacos in 4. They have great home court advantage with all these crazy fans. They won 13 or 14 home games this season.
And they were actually playing with limited number of spectators.
Yeah, at some parts of the season.
On some parts of the season, there were only 1,000 fans.
Yeah.
In the
Around
Friendship
January
Stadium, so that's not enough. Bartzokas was actually talking about this, that we need to have a full house. We need to have the real Olympiacos atmosphere. And
they're coming to the playoffs with such a confidence. I mean, they're on a good stretch. They they were playing great season. They have all this support, and it's not like, I don't know, Barcelona or any other team which is, let's say, struggling.
The most important
They're full prepared.
The most important thing is that they avoided Efes. They finished on
Olympiacos, you mean?
Yeah, they finished on 19 wins. Armani also with 19 wins. So the tiebreaker was head-to-head, and it decided that Oli is second and Armani is third, and now Messina has to face Efes and Olympiacos. I'm not saying they're preparing for an easy series. With Monaco, you're going to be 100% focused on the task. From Monaco's perspective, obviously, you need to take the split from the first two games. You need to have at least one win, then you have a shot.
Or, let's say, to recover at home, win both games and put the pressure on Olympiacos for the game 5.
Nah, that's too much, in my opinion. Was there ever a series in EuroLeague that someone from being 0-2 down won 3 in a row?
That's a good question. I think that maybe we had such thing. I cannot
I don't
say
really
who
recall.
was it.
I don't really recall. I don't remember someone winning.
Oh yeah, from 0-2?
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe
No,
not. Yeah.
I don't think so. Last season, Bayern Munich took it to the game 5, but Milan in the end won it.
The same.
Zenit was
Yeah,
leading.
they won
Zenit was
Barcelona.
leading.
Yeah, sorry.
So no, I think if they want to win the series, they need to take the split from the first two games. I don't see any other way. Again, playing in Monaco is different. It's a very different environment from anything else you could face in Europe. A building somewhere under the floor, you could say, like a basement. And the atmosphere is actually quite good there. The fans are very passionate. And you could see that since the team started winning, the Rocket team hype was all over Monaco. So I'm not saying that it's a very easy series.
It's not a one-way series.
The prediction sounds maybe like it's an easy series for Olympiacos, all in 4. But I don't see any easy wins in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great point from your side, I think, about players like Dwayne Bacon. How will they approach this?
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, Dwayne Bacon seems like a player that doesn't really care whether it's a playoff game or a regular season game. He just plays basketball the way he wants to play it. And in playoffs, you always need something extra. Mike James understands it. He's been in Europe long enough. He's been to the Final Four with Baskonia. Other players, most of them probably also realize that playoffs is a different beast. I mentioned Walkup like an X factor for Olympiacos. I think a huge X factor for Monaco could be Alpha Diallo. With his energy and his defense, his abilities to rebound the ball. Doesn't matter that he's playing as a small forward. He's one of their better rebounders, actually. And also Will Thomas. I think if he can be physical on Sasha Vezenkov, if he can put Vezenkov out of his comfort zone, he could do something similar to what happened last year when Will Thomas faced Mirotic. He made
Good
life
point.
for Mirotic a nightmare.
He ruined Mirotic MVP season.
Yes, and maybe he could do something like this with
because
Vezenkov.
they're kind of similar players. Yeah.
So we'll see. But I'm looking forward to this one, actually. This is the series, maybe the most exciting series to me, actually. From
basketball-wise,
all the quarterfinals.
Because both teams, they're most quality teams at the moment.
We're talking about Madrid and Maccabi being unpredictable, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to be very high-quality basketball. And Monaco and Olympiacos, both teams are playing their best basketball right now. Both teams are healthy. Both teams have a lot of talent. So a lot of personalities. It excites me to think about Mike James finally playing in the EuroLeague playoffs because I haven't seen it for a long time.
The last time he was in the playoffs, I think it was season 17-18. And
with Pau?
With Pau, yeah. And actually, it's kind of, not surprising, but it's like shocking that Mike James, player like Mike James, he was in the Final Four only once. 2015 and 16 season of Baskonia.
But he actually never was in a team to make it.
I mean, he was with CSKA, but then COVID happened, and then other things happened.
He could have been last year. He was never on Barcelona, Real Madrid, or any other teams that usually make the Final Four every year. great series. That's all. We both agree on Olympiacos in 4, but at the same time, I wouldn't be shocked.
I'm prepared for everything.
I wouldn't be shocked if we have a game 5 on our hands. I wouldn't be shocked if Monaco makes an upset. I'm not predicting an upset. I think Olympiacos is just too good, but I'm not ruling out Monaco. As a 7th seed, they're very strong.
Yeah. That's the worst 7th seed scenario for any of top seeded teams. So the last pair, Milan, Efes. Milan has home court advantage. They won both games against Efes, both very close games. They won by 4 in Milan, and March 24th they won in Istanbul by 5. And actually, I think that they won all 4 games in the last 2 years against Efes. It was, of course, in the regular season. So what do you think? Do you see Milan in the Final Four?
Nope.
Just one thing. I just forgot to remember our picks of our guests. And only Eric McCollum told that Monaco will make the Final Four. All the other guys, they had Olympiacos, mostly in 4. Yeah, mostly in 4. Only McCollum. Okay, Laverne said that all in 5. McCollum said that Monaco in 5, and that's Mike James will be a game changer in this series. Anyways, let's go with Milan and Efes. So you take Efes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still going with the champions, even though for the whole regular season we were talking that they're starting slow. They're going to find the rhythm eventually. They're going to start winning enough games. But the regular season was not great. And them finishing in 6th position proves that. Ataman definitely wanted to have a home court advantage in the playoffs. They definitely wanted to take at least the 4th seed. So the regular season was not good enough. Anyway, a team with Shane Larkin and Vasilije Micic always have an advantage over their opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Milan, they're a veteran team with great experienced players, but they were just not playing great during the last few months.
Mm-hmm.
They got some wins in very close games. They needed those wins to secure the home court advantage, but the way they were playing, you could see they were vulnerable. They're dependent on their switch-all defense, but when there's so much talent with Larkin and Micic, they're not afraid of switch-all. They're not afraid of facing Kyle Hines in the perimeter. They can beat you one-on-one. They can beat you in a lot of situations. I mean, the game in Istanbul that Milan won, in the first half, Efes was dominating. In the second half, you could see that for some reason, one reason or another, Anadolu Efes players lost the confidence.
Yeah, they just let the game away.
And Milan broke the game. But also, I think Milan, they have problems because of Dinos Mitoglou situation. He's a very important player. Now you're so dependent on Nicolo Melli. I don't know, man. I think guys like Shavon Shields maybe can be difference makers for Milan because Anadolu Efes really don't have strong bodies in the 3rd position, and you can use Shavon Shields in these situations. A lot of success depends on shooting, actually. If Davon Hall, Malcolm Delaney, Chacho Rodriguez can hit 3-pointers at 40%, definitely they have a chance. But it's just so hard for me to go against Efes. It's the same roster that won the season last year. It's the championship last year. It's the same roster that could have won the championship in the pandemic season. I have Efes in 4. And actually, do you want to see a Final Four without Ataman? What kind of Final Four is this?
No. And, if we talk about Ataman, every time Ataman starts giving his predictions, you know that he feels good. You know that they're coming. And I think that after the last regular season game, he said that, I believe that if we can find our way to the Final Four, we will win it. So that's that time of the year where Ataman is giving his predictions where he's winning the EuroLeague. And I go with Efes too. I have Efes in 4 because I see the huge confidence growing in the team, not just because of Ataman's statements, but at least from what I heard that these guys, they're they're back. They feel that they're back. And the good example is the game in Milan and the game in Istanbul. In Milan, they were terrible. For like 4 months, we were talking how they're lacking, how they're not hungry, how they don't care. And that's what we saw in Milan. It was a terrible game. In Istanbul, I mean, okay, they let the game away, but basically in the first 3 quarters, they were way better team than Milan. They have this momentum. They have their main guys ready for the challenge. Vasilij Micic in the last 7 EuroLeague games, I was shocked by these numbers. In the last 7 EuroLeague games, he was averaging 24 points on 69% 2-point and 41% 3-point shooting, 6 assists. And his Batman, Shea Larkin, he was scoring 17 points and dishing out 5 assists per game. So that's huge. That's huge for the team of Efes. Okay, they're lacking Kruno Simon of last year, but Milan is just not perfect. I love Milan in general. It was one of my favorite teams this year. But as you mentioned, probably since Shawan Shields got injured, then we had Dinos Mitoglou injury. He came back, doping thing happened. Other players were in and out. Yeah, and also they had COVID outbreak just before the playoffs. I think that if our report was correct, 7 players were out. Okay, everybody is back. Only Ataman is injured right now, but neither they had the momentum before that COVID outbreak. And of course, COVID doesn't help at all. So I just don't see a momentum. As I mentioned, Efes is a pretty bad matchup for Milan.
It's a bad matchup for everybody.
Especially now at this time of the year. So I just think that right now, Efes, they're better prepared for the Final Four run.
Milan could win if Shawan Shields have performed some heroics on the court. If Shawan Shields has a monster series.
Both defensively and offensively.
Definitely. Defensively as a team. I cannot put their defense on a single person. Kyle Hines is
especially when they're second best defensive team in the Euro.
That's
is the huge thing
for them, but the anchor man, you can say. But in general, it's about the team. The whole team needs to be prepared. If they're playing with all, you need to be prepared to face Larkin or Micic in some certain situations. You need to help each other. You need to rotate very quickly. In a playoff series, you always need to find some role players that can step up. And I'm thinking, who could be those players for both teams? For Milan, maybe in some games you will find Troy Daniels hitting 3-point shots, which will help you. Maybe Gigi Datome's experience will be handy, and he could actually run some offense and find some mismatches and score, because he can still score as a spot-up shooter sometimes in the post-up situations. For Anadolu Efes, the main helpers to Larkin and Micic, first of all, the bigs, Dunstan, Blythe, scoring from pick and rolls, from offensive rebounds, second chance points. They will have size advantage in some situations with some lineups. Dunstan defensively, protecting the paint will be very important as well. We know that Anadolu Efes is not a defensive team, but sometimes they can be good on defense.
Yeah, and they have potential.
Sometimes it just depends on their motivation. And definitely they will be motivated for the playoffs. So it's just the star power that actually wins it. You find role players on both teams that are good enough. Like Adrian Mormon, for example, he had a very good season shooting from free. His matchup with Nicolo Melli will be very interesting. But in the end, the star players make the difference. And come on, Micic and Larkin is the best duo in Europe. We respect Delaney, Hall, Rodriguez a lot, but no one compares to Micic and Larkin right now.
Especially when they're playing like that. Yeah, so only Mike Batiste and Eric McCollum had Milan in 5. Machulis, Granger, Laverne, all of them said that FS in 5. So we're having.
But they're all predicting five game series.
5.
I'm predicting a 4-game series actually.
Exactly. I just see them winning 1 game in Milan and then closing the series in great arena of Nardem. Yeah, full house, 15,000 people. They really feel that support of their
honestly,
home crowd.
A sweep wouldn't surprise me.
I see your point.
It would not surprise me at all. But I respect Milan, a great team with a legendary coach, Messina. So
they're just not in a good situation.
Maybe Messina will find some ways to surprise the opponents. But no, I don't see them winning it. I don't actually see it going to Game 5. Game 5 in Mediolanum Forum is actually a situation which probably Olympia fans would agree with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, having the crucial game at home, why not? Let's give it a shot. We're facing the EuroLeague champions. And 5-game series is a situation also that Anadolu Efes would like to avoid without the home court advantage. So Efes in 4, and like I said, if they sweep Milan, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
They're a 6th seed. We saw teams from the 5th seed winning the EuroLeague. Let's remember Fenerbahce, Real Madrid. But a 6th seed winning it hasn't been done yet. But there's a good chance for Anadolu Efes to do it and to go to Belgrade and try to protect their championship.
Yeah, we're waiting for a lot of interesting things, and the playoffs will start on Tuesday with game in Milan Efes and Barcelona and Bayern Munich, and on Wednesday we'll have Olympiacos, Monaco, Real Madrid, Maccabi. Once again, I'm inviting you visiting BasketNews.com. There's EuroLeague playoff bracket challenge powered by NordVPN, where you can win some prizes if you will correct. Also, we want you to share your thoughts about playoff predictions in the comment section. It's gonna be an intriguing time. I'm going to Barcelona tomorrow to cover Barcelona-Bayern series. We will have other colleagues. We already have colleague Orazio in Milan. George will be covering Olympiacos Monaco series. He will go to Monaco too. Our colleague Edvinas will go to Tel Aviv. We will have journalists in all playoff cities, playoffs games. So
a lot of content
on BasketNews.com, and we will see each other after the first 2 games next Monday, probably.
We will agree on the timing later.
Yeah. But anyway,
in
for sure, in the middle of the series, we will share our thoughts about the beginning.
Obviously,
of the,
we will have the podcast in the middle of the series, after the series. Probably it's a good thing that you were predicting Maccabi winning it. Maybe I was too harsh on Maccabi in a previous podcast.
No, I mean, I was also so harsh. I was the last guy to be on their bandwagon.
Softer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no disrespect to Maccabi fans. We love you and we love Tel Aviv as well. To finish the podcast, Brooklyn or Boston?
I hate Brooklyn, actually.
Do you hate Brooklyn or do you hate Kyrie Irving?
Yeah. So sorry. That's the problem. I love Kevin Durant, but I just hate Kyrie Irving so much that I go with Boston. Also, they're underdogs. I always loved their philosophy. So
the 2nd seed in the East is an underdog.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
The best defense in the league is an underdog.
I mean, I just love their dynasty philosophy. So
I get it.
They deserve some good things.
I get it. I think Brooklyn in 6.
Okay.
Even though last night it was such a dramatic finish with Tatum's
a lot of
move.
Interesting stories.
Oh my God.
After game 1, and I'm sure that in the beginning of the EuroLeague playoffs,
I never in my life was so excited about the first round of the NBA playoffs.
That's true.
Usually the first round of the NBA playoffs is just a warm-up.
Preseason, yeah. Pre-playoff time.
A warm-up, really. Now, in the first round, you have at least 3 series that are so unpredictable. Obviously, Brooklyn and Boston being the top one. So, to most of you, I would recommend to try change your sleeping routines a little bit, or at least watch games on tape delay in the morning, because not only the EuroLeague playoffs, but the NBA playoffs this season are super exciting.
Yeah.
It's playoff time.
Yeah. And NordVPN will help you to enjoy this time. Yeah. Rytis Vyšniauskas, Donatas Urbonas. See you next week.